The man who just dropped 3 albums in a single night. The man who just named Lucian Grainge on his own record label's release. The man who spent half of Iceman constructing the most surgical response campaign of his career is right now sitting in the exact position he swore in every one of those bars he was not sitting in. Because while Aubrey Drake Graham was flooding the market and calling the numbers manufactured, a different set of numbers was moving in a room he does not have access to. And those numbers point at Kendrick Lamar wrapping a project that a leaker who has not missed once in 7 months says is landing in weeks, not months. And I need you to hear me before we go 1 inch deeper into this. The moment on Iceman that everybody is calling Drake's reclamation, the shot at the owl in the cage, the Mugsy Bogues bar, the vanished 100 million streams, that was not the checkmate move. That was the move that told Kendrick's camp exactly when to release. And when we get to the part of this video where we walk through the timing of the InsiderHub X post, the academic's confirmation, and the specific reason the Drake camp is watching every second of July 2026 like it is a countdown clock, you're going to understand why the person everybody thought just won the round is the person who just handed his opponent a loaded weapon. 2 timelines are running right now. The one you have been watching on TikTok, and the one that is actually deciding this. They are not the same story. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. So let me set the ground for you because this is moving so fast that even people who follow the culture every single day are missing pieces. Drake, in June of 2026, dropped Iceman, and inside of Iceman, he did something no artist at that level of the industry has done publicly in years. He didn't just diss Kendrick Lamar. He didn't just diss Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, The Weeknd, and half the room that lit torches during that summer of 2024. He walked upstairs. He walked into the corner office of Universal Music Group and put Lucian Grainge's name inside of a rap record on the label that Lucian Grainge runs. That is not a diss. That is a man announcing that the contract situation between him and his distributor has crossed a line where music and business are not 2 conversations anymore. They are 1 conversation. And the reason that matters, the reason you need to hold that in your head for the next 20 minutes, is because everything Kendrick is about to do, every rumor about an August drop, every whisper about a project called something like Giant 22, every academic segment where he keeps saying Kendrick should stay silent, is downstream of the fact that Drake just publicly declared war on the machine that owns his own catalog. The stakes here are not who won a rap beef in 2024. The stakes are whether the biggest artist on the biggest label in the world just gave his rival the perfect strategic window, and whether that rival is disciplined enough to walk through it without saying a single unnecessary word. That is the question. And the answer, if the leaks are correct, is coming this summer. Let's start with what is on the surface, because there is a lot of it and Drake made sure of that. Iceman released in a 3-album cascade, which is a distribution move I have never seen a superstar attempt inside one rollout. Across those records, the main disc, Habibti, Maid of Honor, he takes direct shots at, by Billboard's and Rolling Stone's own count, at least a dozen people. Rick Ross gets the pool party line, the BBL Drizzy callback, the You Trouble tag. A$AP Rocky gets touched. The Weeknd gets touched in a way that people who live through Take Care are going to be arguing about for months. DJ Khaled, according to the Billboard breakdown, is on the list. And on Make Them Remember and Make Them Pay, the 2 tracks that the entire rap internet has been dissecting frame by frame, Drake goes straight at Kendrick Lamar. He mentions the Not Like Us video. He addresses the owl in the cage, the visual that in 2024 became the single most iconic image of the whole battle. And he flips it, saying the owl never sees the cage. The owl only rises to seize the day. It is a real bar. It is a clever bar. And it is also, if you are paying attention, an admission. Because you do not respond to symbolism 2 years later unless the symbolism is still lodged in your chest. The manufactured cool is the tell. Then he goes at the numbers, calling Kendrick a magician and asking where 100 million streams vanished to, which is Drake, on his own record, planting the seed that the biggest rap song of the last decade was engineered rather than earned. And then he goes at Kendrick's size, the Mugsy Bogues comparison, framing Not Like Us as a one-time dunk from a player who was never supposed to reach the rim. Every one of these bars is designed to be clipped. Every one of them is designed for the exact TikTok cycle we are watching right now. And in isolation, if you are an OVO fan, you look at this rollout and you say the man has reclaimed the throne. And oh, do I have more for you? Because the surface story is the story the label wants you to leave with. The cultural story, the one moving underneath it in the group chats and the industry slacks and the podcast green rooms, is a completely different picture, and the Kendrick fans watching this are absolutely not going to like where this next part goes for their patience level. Because here is what is actually happening in the culture right now. InsiderHub X, the leaker who correctly called the J. Cole rollout, correctly called the Baby Keem release window, correctly called the entire Rolling Loud lineup before it went public, and this is the part people keep skipping, correctly called the Ice Sculpture and the 3-album format of Iceman itself before Drake's own team confirmed it. Posted, in the days after Iceman dropped, that Kendrick Lamar is wrapping a project and the window is August 2026. That is not a random Twitter account. That is a source with a documented streak of being ahead of the announcements of the same label system Drake is currently at war with, which by itself should tell you something about where the information is leaking from. And then, right on top of that, DJ Akademiks, a man who has spent the better part of the last 2 years positioning himself as the unofficial press office of the OVO camp, went on his stream and said, on record, that Kendrick is planning to release. Akademiks then flipped inside the same week and started telling Drake, publicly, to stop dissing Kendrick going forward. Think about what you just heard. The corrupt ally, the man whose entire brand is defending one side of this war, is telling his own guy to lower the weapon. That is not a man giving advice. That is a man who has seen the incoming and is trying to talk his side out of standing in the doorway. When the loudest media voice in your corner starts telling you to be quiet, the fight is not going the way the TikTok clips are telling you it is going. And then you have the reactions. You have the fact that the vanished streams bar became a meme inside 48 hours, and not the kind Drake wanted. The kind where Kendrick fans started stitching Billboard certifications over the audio. You have the fact that the Lucian Grainge reference did not get the reaction Drake seemed to expect from the industry class, because as multiple outlets and Instagram breakdowns pointed out, Drake has been putting Lucian in bars since Stay Schemin' in 2012. 14 years of escalating direct address, and the tone of that trajectory went one direction only. This is not a new grievance. This is the grievance he has been managing his entire career, finally spilling because the negotiation leverage has collapsed. And I want to say this carefully. I want to be clear, some of this is analysis, some of it is what sources are saying, but the fact that Drake is now dissing his own distributor, in the same rollout where he is trying to reassert dominance over a competitor on that same distributor, is not the move of a man in a position of strength. That is the move of a man whose back is against the wall in a hallway he does not own. Now let me pattern interrupt here, because if we stay in bar-for-bar territory, we are going to miss the entire actual story. So forget the D's for 2 minutes. Forget the L. Forget Mugsy Bogues. Let me tell you what this is really about, because everybody is watching the rap fight and nobody is watching the room where the outcome of the rap fight has already been decided. Universal Music Group, Lucian Grainge's company, owns the distribution and a substantial slice of the master recording economy that both Drake and Kendrick sit inside of. Drake, over the last year, has been in a very public, very messy legal posture with Universal. A lawsuit connected to the promotion of Not Like Us, defamation allegations, subpoena demands for internal documents about how the song was pushed on the platform. Variety, Hip Hop DX, and multiple outlets have reported Grainge himself calling Drake's demands ridiculous and farcical in the public filings. Take that at face value for a moment. The head of the largest music company in the world publicly called his most commercially valuable rap artist's legal position ridiculous. In print, that does not happen in a healthy artist-label relationship. That happens when the negotiation for the next contract, or the buyout of the current one, has already collapsed behind closed doors and both sides are performing for the record. And Drake, who is many things but has never been strategically stupid, understands exactly what that means for his next deal cycle. The catalog leverage is not where it was. The streaming leverage is not where it was. And Kendrick Lamar, on the same distribution system, is walking into his next album cycle with the wind of a Grammy sweep and a Super Bowl halftime run at his back, which the industry data desks at Hits Daily Double and MBW read as pricing power. Drake naming Lucian on Iceman is not a diss. It is a public letter. It is an artist telling the corporate structure, on the record, in a song the corporate structure is legally obligated to distribute, that he knows exactly what is being done to his position and he is prepared to burn the building down to renegotiate the floor. That is what you are actually watching. The rap beef is the mask. The label war is the face. And here is where it lands. And I want you to sit with this because this is the piece nobody is putting together on the timelines. If InsiderHub X is right, and Akademiks is right, and Kendrick Lamar drops a full body of work in August of 2026, that release is going to be distributed by the same Universal Music system that Drake just publicly attacked from inside his own rollout. Which means, allegedly, according to how these deal structures typically function and what industry reporters have suggested about the current climate at UMG, that the label has every commercial incentive in the world to push that Kendrick release with the kind of infrastructure, playlist real estate, editorial coverage, radio priority, international rollout, that they have quietly been pulling back from Drake's promotional cycle for months. That is the reckoning. Drake did not just diss Kendrick on Iceman. He walked into a boardroom and told the people who decide how songs travel in 2026 that he no longer respects them, in the exact quarter that his primary competitor is preparing to release into their arms. If the timing lands the way the leaks say it is going to land, the streams that Drake mocked as vanishing are about to be replaced by a new set of streams that will be, this time, distributed with maximum institutional enthusiasm. That is not a beef outcome. That is a career pivot decided by a room Drake is not sitting in. And this, to me, is why the Kendrick Lamar posture over the last 2 years suddenly makes complete sense. Everybody kept asking why Kendrick was quiet, why he wasn't responding to the podcast cycle, why he wasn't feeding the algorithm, why he wasn't dropping bar after bar to keep the beef trending. The way I see it, and I have been saying this in one form or another going back to the tail end of 2024, Kendrick was not being quiet. Kendrick was waiting. He was watching the corporate side of this play out, and he was waiting for the exact moment when the other side of the war would give him a distribution window that could not be closed. Iceman gave him that window. The Lucian bar gave him that window. Drake, in his frustration, in his commercially understandable desire to reclaim the narrative, opened the door his opponent had been standing in front of for 18 months. The guy who does every job to 100%, the guy who has been unfazed by every meme cycle, every clip, every attempt to bait him into a below-his-level response, is now sitting on a finished project with the wind of the entire institutional machine ready to blow at his back. That is not luck. That is discipline meeting opportunity. That is the reason the person with integrity in these situations, in the long timeline, always ends up on the correct side of the outcome. Not because the universe is fair, because patience is a strategy that the impatient cannot counter. And listen, I know some OVO fans are going to comment that I am being dramatic, that Iceman is a commercial success, that the streams are strong, that Drake is Drake and Drake is fine. Fine. Take that. Take the first week. Take the TikTok cycle. Take the podcast reactions. But then ask yourself, honestly, the question that academics is quietly answering by telling his own side to lower the weapon. If the position was strong, why is the loudest voice on your side of the war telling you to stop swinging? Does everybody understand how crazy that actually is? Can we have the real conversation about what it means when the last honest voices in the room are the ones telling you the fight you think you are winning is not the fight you are actually in? Because this is only the start. This is July of 2026. If August delivers what the leakers say it is going to deliver, then September, October, the Grammy conversation cycle, the year-end lists, the streaming recaps, every single institutional beat of the back half of this year is going to be structured around a Kendrick Lamar release that the industry has an active corporate reason to elevate. And Drake, in that scenario, has to sit on top of the Iceman rollout and watch the machine he just attacked hand his opponent the exact platform he thought he had denied him. I am telling you right now, the next 6 months of the culture are going to move faster than the last 2 years combined. And there are 3 specific reveals that I am watching for. The Kendrick release date confirmation, the response from Lucian Grainge's office if there is one, and whether Drake's team quietly walks the label bars back in the next promo cycle. And if any one of those 3 lands, I am covering it the second it moves. If you want to be in the room when the timing of the Kendrick release finally leaks with a hard date, or when the next academics pivot happens on stream, make sure you are subscribed, because I am not letting you miss it. And if you have made it all the way to this point in the video, you are amazing, and I want to point you straight at the next one. I am going to break down every single Kendrick response scenario, from a full album to a 2-track surprise drop to a Super Bowl-style visual event, and I am going to tell you exactly which one the industry is quietly preparing for. You are not going to want to miss that one. I will see you in the next video.